to another live. Happy Monday. So let me get my notes here. So what we're talking about today is what happens if outsourcing gets too expensive? What are corporations going to do, right? Everyone's freaking out about the stock market, and everyone's talking about tariffs and all these kind of things. And I think about this all the time, and I think, how loyal are corporations and larger companies to America? It's if this ceases to be the ultimate place to start a company, will these corporations stay here, right? And as a small business owner, I make all of my stuff here in America. I'm not one of these people that makes a bunch of stuff overseas and then sells it at exorbitant prices here in America. I make expensive furniture here in America that I sell at exorbitant prices because it's expensive to produce things in America. So that's our question. I thought it was a good question. And tomorrow I've got something on a similar topic as well. But I thought it'd be good to ask that question. What will corporations do if it gets too damn expensive to produce here in America? Because they're bitching right now. They're all screaming about the price they're all screaming about what these tariffs are going to do to their production, right? To the cost of all the inputs to their goods, because every corporation in America today just loves to make things in America. They don't. They assemble in America. They don't make anything in America. They assemble at best. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So anyway, my name's Eric Wilkin. I own the Splendid Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. And got a small furniture company here and paint company. We got about 7 employees. We do about maybe 500-ish pieces a year. And I get on here, I do these talks just about manufacturing, about woodworking, about painting things, about what it means to be a small business owner and what it's really like to operate a small business, especially here in America. And it's a great topic to discuss right now because America is kind of going through an identity crisis, So I like to get on here and have a beer and talk to people and shoot the shit on the comments and all that kind of stuff. So we got, what do we got? We got our Modelo today. And that's what we're going to talk about. I got a whole bunch of notes here. So yeah, we're going to talk about that today. What happens if tariffs get really, really crazy? Will American companies stay in America, or will they move, right? And this is ultimately what I kind of wonder about. So I personally think that a lot of these corporations will leave. And that's the honest to God truth. I'll explain why. So you got a couple different classes in America. You got this big class of haves and you got a bigger class of have-nots. There's this massive chasm between the two of them. And truth is that everyone says that the manufacturing class has been hollowed out in America, right? And there's some truth to that, right? But that can be any industry, right? Next decade, it might be tech worker. The tech industry has been hollowed out, right? It's so easy to say these kind of things. But the truth is that what's happened is when you send everybody to college, right, you turn everyone into a thinker and a knowledge worker, and all these people operate on what's called leverage, right? And it's what they've been taught to do, and it's fine. It's like no big thing. But what they've done is they've taken all the manufacturing jobs, the people that work with their hands, and they've taken those processes and they improved upon those processes here in America for a little bit, right? And then once they realized that they could digitally send all that information anywhere in the world, they were able to go access really cheap labor. And that's basically all it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. There's no grand scheme. There's no, conspiracy theories. There's none of that stuff. It's simply cheaper labor, the digital transferring of information, right? And then regulations, crazy regulations. And that's it. It's not that America can't do anything. It's that we're not able to do these things. I hear that all the time. Oh, America can't do tooling anymore, or Americans, the quality is not as good as it used to be, and the truth is it's all garbage. It's such garbage, and the problem, what we're running into now is, if we kind of see what's going on with these companies, they're basically, the stock market is crashing, right? It's going like in the crapper, and everybody is freaking out, and these companies are wondering what the hell is going on. Because the truth is that if you have a class of people right over here that are the makers, and you have a class of people over here that are the thinkers, you have major clash going on. Because basically what you got is you got all the thinkers over here. They're taking all the jobs to someplace over in another country where they have access to cheap labor, and the makers are over here thinking hey, wait a minute, what happened to me? I like to make stuff. I like to be useful. I want to respect what I do and have, the dignity of work, as they say. A lot of people want to do this stuff, and these people are saying, you know what, we need to make money for our stockholders, because if I have to make something, I have no work, and so right now they're able to take all these people's work and they're able to farm it out to the entire world. So everyone that builds things right now is kind of thinking like, well, hey man, what the hell is going on? So I believe that we're just going to assume the tariffs kick in, right? We're going to end up having, 145% tariff on China, 40% on Vietnam, 20 on India, all these kind of things. Like, assume the tariffs kick in, okay? It will be a very short period of time before these companies will incorporate in other countries, right? Because the truth is that it'll be too expensive to bring the products into America, even though we have more, we make more money than anybody. Our standard of living is higher than anybody's. You bring all these tariffs in here, the corporations aren't going to lose all of the investments they have in all these other countries. They're not going to do it. They're not going to bring that factory back to America. It will not happen. These people would rather have their money, and stockholders would rather have their money than you have jobs, right? There is no allegiance to America anymore. And it pains me to say that as a capitalist, right? Like I have a small furniture company, and I really believe in this country, and I believe in what America is and what America stands for, more importantly. But it's not the hollowing out of the middle class that's the problem. It's the hollowing out of patriotism, right? It's the hollowing out of work, right? We've traded the idea of the respect and dignity and the I don't know what the other word is, but basically the dignity of work. But we've traded that for the idea that you need to be a manager, right? That you need to be someone that utilizes leverage and creates profit at any cost. Like I've done a million of these streams at this point now, and the truth is I talk about how we pay our people. I've talked about how we try and help our people out, and how we try and teach them things, and we try and make the place we have as good as we can for the people here so that we can make our products. Right? And the truth is that if you said, well, you know what, CEO of Fortune 500 company, it's like, you're going to have to go do the work. Like you're not going to be able to send the money to your investors anymore. You're going to have to pay people here in America. You're going to have to go from paying $5 a day to paying $15 an hour, $20 an hour with full benefits. They would say, absolutely not. There's no way we can do that. We can't operate as a company, okay? Now, here's how it works as a small business owner, okay? Because basically what that means is that when you say, hey, you got to start paying people these wages here in America, they're going to be like, well, we can't make any money. There's no profit. How am I supposed to get paid? I can't afford people. I can't produce enough product. They'll have every excuse in the book. But one of these solutions will never be, well, I guess I need to go do the work. They'll never say that. Right? And the truth is that as a small business owner, the more money I make, the less work I have to do, right? So when my revenues go up even more, I'm able to hire more people to do the work, right? I can hire more cabinet makers, I can hire more assemblers, I can hire more painters, I can hire more shippers, I can hire all these people, and then I don't have to deal with nearly as much stuff. My life actually gets easier, right? But the minute that my revenue declines, it means that I have to start laying people off, right? And then I have to go do more work. And this is where we're getting ready to come to, right? Where you're going to have more people, they're going to have to make that judgment call. It's like, well, are you willing to lay off a bunch of, people that are basically just collecting checks, vice presidents, CEOs, directors of operations, CFOs, all these people, which they do have a role. I'm not saying that they don't. And I don't want to sound like I'm against capitalism, because I'm not. But what I have a problem with is the minute these people's paycheck is compromised, their first solution is just to get rid of people, because they are not going back to work. And my wife said this once, and it always resonated with me. She said, I want to work on the business, not in the business. And the truth is that as small business owners, we have to do both. And a lot of these corporations are never going to work in the business. They will never do it, right? They're not going to get dirty. They're never going to take a shower, after work. They're only going to take a shower before work. And those people have value. But what this current administration is doing is they're basically checking all of these people and saying, you know what? When you do get an influx of money, and we saw this during COVID, right? You guys remember this? When these people get an influx of capital, right? That capital doesn't go downstream to the employees. The first place it goes is to investors, right? You buy back shares. We saw all that stuff. I mean, General Motors bought back shares. My company, General Dynamics, bought back shares. You saw it with everyone. Apple bought back shares. That's what they did with all this money, right? They didn't give it to their employees. They didn't use it to get the prices down on their products. They just gave it to the people that invested in the company. And the people that invested in this company don't do the work, okay? And this is this divide that we have here, right? The people that produce and the people that think about producing or manage the people that produce, right? This is the massive divide that we have going on. It is going to be a huge discussion if this tariff situation continues to go, right? So truth is that these companies, they're not bringing the jobs back here. They will do anything they can to not to do that. And I'll stand by it. You know, they've already outsourced all your jobs. It's just a matter of time before they incorporate in other countries, you know, because they're not going to lose their profits, you know, for your job. It will not happen. You know, so it really, again, it really bothers me as a capitalist and someone that owns a small business and operates. You know, we do a small seven figures in revenue, nets me like maybe 150 grand a year, depending on, you know, how many things we do right over the course of a year. And you're not going to get rich, but it's really good work. And we teach people things, and the people that work here really like their work. And there's a reason that a lot of people don't like working for large corporations. You know, these places where they have just process after process after process, and you got to walk on eggshells with everything that you do because HR is right there, OSHA's right there, the EPA is right there. You know, the National Labor Relations Board is right there, the National Transportation and Safety Board is right there. They're always watching you like a nagging, you know, ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Like they're just drives me crazy. Okay, so we'll look at our comments. Okay, I got more stuff that I wrote down, and we'll continue to talk about this. So let's see what we got going on here. Okay, we got Wyatt Cooper. I don't know if I've had Wyatt in here. Wyatt, good to see you. Thanks for coming in and participating, and just kind of listen to the getting older man rant. Let's see, we got, who else? We got, is this Ian? Ian2317YT. Hello to you too. And guys, let me know where you're at. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that kind of stuff. Continue to grow this thing. You know, I've got to get the watch hours up on all this stuff. That's one of the reasons I'm doing these things. Got to get the 3,000 hours for the year. We already got all the subscribers, but the more people that'll help us watch the stream and watch the videos that we put on this channel, we're going to talk about more of this stuff. I got all kinds of crazy videos that I'm putting out. Okay, okay, we got Soap in here. Soap, hello. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Okay, I don't know the name of this one. I guess, no, it's You Are a Carpenter. All right. I'm sending you, oh, that's a full name. Okay, message from Iran. Wow, that's amazing. Iran, boy, you guys get a bad freaking rap here in America. I'll tell you what. You know, we don't care where you're from. I think it's awesome. Okay, if you read my message, raise your hand to indicate that you have read it. I will raise my hand. I've read your message, and hopefully you can hear this and it's in other countries and all the drama that goes on with all these other countries. A lot of it's straw man stuff, guys. Like it's you know, America always has to have a boogeyman. And are there bad people, man? Absolutely. But I think most people on the whole are pretty good. So yeah, we won't talk about geopolitics. But all right, we got Pixels to Projects in here. I remember you from before. Hello, good to see you. Glad you're here. Contribute to the discussion, guys. And we're gonna continue to talk about what happens when outsourcing gets really expensive. Will corporations stay here? Will they hire people here in America? Will they raise the prices by hiring that? Will they take less money? Will they give less dividends and paper to their shareholders? You know, what are they going to do? Are they going to buy back less shares? What are they going to do with this money? And we'll talk. Well, it's like I got more to talk about that. Okay, Pixel 2 Projects got Con Steph in here. What up, man? Con, good to see you. Glad you're here. Are you shop foreman? So this is Salina girl. I'm assuming you're in Kansas. I hope you're in your Kansas. My stepdad is from Salina. I've gone to Salina a lot. Okay. So yeah, are you shop foreman? No, I'm not shop foreman. I am business owner and shop foreman. I'm also the company bitch. Like I just run around and do everything that needs to get done so that everyone has what they need to do their job. So like today, what did I do today? So I was supposed to build dressers this morning, and I came in, and we realized that we have a vanity that needs to go out. So the first thing I had to do was go figure out with Sherwin where the hell's my paint that we ordered a week ago. So I had to go deal with that. They couldn't deliver it, so that means I got to go drive over, get the paint, and then we had another formula for a color called Rumors, which is a bear color, and the color's way off. Sherwin just couldn't mix that color right. Deep reds, Sherwin really struggles with, and so I had to go to my buddy Casper, who is a paint matcher at Benjamin Moore, and he was able to match that paint perfectly, which he does every time. So I spent literally 2 hours going from one side of St. Louis all the way to the other side of St. Louis. And I came back and I finally got to start assembling my dressers, which is really nice. So I'm gonna do my talk here on YouTube, because I'm trying to let everyone know, you know, what the business life is really like for a woodworking company. And then I'm gonna get back to work, and I'll put in another couple hours just finishing up these dressers and getting them all assembled so that tomorrow I can do slides and start building freaking 18 drawer boxes. So that's what's going on there, Salina Girl. Thanks for being here. Again, I really appreciate it, guys. Okay, we'll go through some more comments in just a minute. Talk about a few more of these notes that I have written down. What are these companies going to do? Because truth is, we have a little bit of a reckoning going on about business and about the people that live here in America. And when they say things like the middle class has been hollowed out, the middle class has been hollowed out, it's not that it's been hollowed out. It's just the jobs have been sent to other countries where it's cheaper. And because you guys have gotten cheaper products, it hasn't been that big of a deal, or it hasn't affected you directly. It hasn't been a big deal. And I see this all the time, like people will complain about things and they'll bitch about this and bitch about that, but it doesn't really matter to them because it doesn't affect them, but the minute it affects you, oh man, you guys, everyone's just got all kinds of things to say, and it needs to change, because point is, we have to, as a country, we have to do things that are good for our people, not just specific groups. This group, we're gonna give you guys this, and that group, we're gonna give you that. Like, we have to stop doing that, So one of the things we got to do is we have to figure out this sending jobs overseas thing, and it's great. We need really smart people, and managers and thinkers are very important. They really do need people to monitor production. As a business owner, like, I wish I had a manager that could just run around and monitor hours. It sucks for the employee because they got some guy breathing down their neck, but it's great for the business, right? But the problem is that when we tell and I'm just going to use the word CEO kind of generally, but we tell a business owner, CEO type person that you're really smart and you're really good at what you do. And then when you ask them, well, how did you grow this business? And they say, oh, I started this business in my garage and I prototyped this piece of furniture and we made it here in America for 3 or 4 years. Then we realized, oh, we can do it so much better. They always say this, it can be done so much better in another country. So then we started, they never say we sent the jobs overseas. They always say, well, we started making this furniture over here. And what they're saying is that it was too damn expensive here in America, right? So the question in my mind is this person really that smart? Like, when as a country are we gonna say, you know what, knock that shit off? Like, you're not, it's like this Tim Cook guy. Like, I like Tim Cook and I like Apple products. This is an Apple phone that we're on right now. Like, I've got nothing against Apple, right? But you can't compare someone like Tim Cook to Steve Jobs, who literally created this technology, had the ideas for it, pushed the marketing, and basically created a product that nobody actually realized they wanted, right? He created and this is one of the things that geniuses do. But this Tim Cook guy gets heralded as being really smart. And really all this guy did was he got really good at shoveling products overseas and back to Foxconn factory, right? So getting Gorilla Glass made, learning all these different kinds of silica technologies, the tooling technologies, the CNC technologies. This guy got really good at moving things back and forth. He was kind of an operations genius. That's what this guy did. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't move any of that work back to America. Right? They took all that labor that they saved that would have got done here in America, instead of the $18 an hour, you got someone making $5-10 a day, and he used all that money to make a factory, right? And to work on process. He would hire process engineers here in America, right? And those process engineers would design what are called work cells, workflow environments, and he basically made this factory work really well using American ingenuity and American creativity. Had this factory working really well, and then brought those phones back to America and sold them at American prices, okay? An iPhone in America that's $1,000, that same iPhone will sell in China for a third of the cost, probably half the cost, right? In whatever, the yen, the yuan, I forget what their currency is. But this is how it works. The $1,000 iPhone in America does not sell for $1,000 in India. It sells for, 2,500 rupees or whatever the breakdown is over there. It's not the same. Right? So these companies, not only do they fuck over the American worker, but they sell the product back to us because we're the richest country on earth, but then they sell it cheaper everywhere else. So that's affordable in those countries. So the American loses twice. This is one of the reasons that everything is so expensive right now. Everything. And people can talk about the cost of food, but the truth is the cost of food is down. And you guys can disagree with me, but because we make all that stuff here, the price can go up quickly, but it can also go down very quickly. Because the truth is that American farmers and people that produce American products have to continue to do that. And because they have quick access to everything, they're able to move that price up or down very quickly. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna say on that for a second. All right, go back through a few more comments. say hi to a few more people, and we're gonna continue. Like I said, I'm gonna try and get an hour in today, and we'll keep on going. So I appreciate everyone being here, man. It's I want to know what everybody does, and again, people feel free to tell me I'm wrong. Like I love people that disagree with me. Like I said, I never graduated high school. I'm a dummy. I've gone to college off and on for different kinds of classes and certifications, but I am not intelligent. I'm not worldly by any means. These are just my opinions as a guy that's owned a woodworking business for 8 years and been in manufacturing for 25 years, right? So this is my knowledge base, and that's all I can tell you guys. Okay, so okay. Let's see what we got here. Who is this? I can't even pronounce your name. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, okay. Or womp, womp, womp. Oh, I remember, yeah, the womp, womp, womp guy. I know Eric's crying about, oh, my poor existence. Oh, it's so bad. Womp, womp, womp. Okay. We got Salina Girl at Kansas. Yeah, I kind of figured that's where you're from, Salina Girl. And yeah, thanks for being here. All right, name a car for an edit. I don't know what you mean by that, Ting Ting. I'm very curious what you mean by that. I'm a car guy. I love cars, but I don't know what you're saying there. I'm working on an Audi TTS right now. It's a complete piece of shit, and it is a crap ton of work. But I'm gonna get it fixed. It's gonna run great, and I'm not gonna have all the issues that I'm having. Okay, Sliding Girl, what's your CNC shop drawing software there? Okay, so Sliding Girl, that's a good question. So, and that brings up another point, right? The point, the truth is that when you bring jobs back to America, like a lot of these corporations and these bigger companies, they like to tell you that we can't do that. We don't have the people. Our unemployment rate is so low. We couldn't possibly, excuse me guys, we couldn't possibly bring all these jobs back here. We don't have the people, right? What they're not telling you is that not most people, a lot of people, it could be most people at this point. A lot of people have 2 and 3 jobs right now, okay? So those numbers are kind of skewed a little bit. How nice would it be to get paid a decent wage and not have to work 2 jobs? 3 jobs, a bunch of part-time jobs. How nice would it be? And we can talk about all that stuff if that work comes back. We'll find out that a lot of people work in these part-time jobs. These part-time jobs are shit. How nice would it be to go to work where you got a nice facility, you like the work that you do, the people that you work with are really nice, or maybe there's more companies here in America because there's more work coming into America where now you have an option. I don't have to work for this dickhead over here. I can go work for this less dickhead, or maybe I can go find another guy who isn't a dickhead at all. Like, how nice would that be? Truth is that these big companies don't want a lot of competition here in America. This is why incrementalism is such a thing right now. You'll hear Elon Musk talk about it big time. Incrementalism has basically slowed down American innovation for probably the last 20 years because these people don't have to compete, right? Like General Motors should have went out of business. And I'm sorry for people that work in the automotive industry, but they effed up, and when the economy crashed in 2008, those guys needed a massive bail, like $50 billion. And the government will say, well, yeah, but we made money on that transaction. The point is that somebody else should have came in and filled the void in that market, right? Someone with a different product. Maybe Tesla could have been bigger, before that. I don't know. I have no idea. The point is that those people should have went bankrupt. Okay, same thing with that AGI, the insurance company. Those guys should have went bankrupt. There are a lot of banks that should have went bankrupt. But again, we're left with the same system we have because the government, which is basically spoke to by corporations for the most part, the government bailed all these people out, so everything was allowed to continue exactly as it was, which is why we are exactly where we are right now. Nothing has changed, and that's what they wanted, right? So yeah, so sorry, I'm going back to what you said, Salina Girl. Okay, the software that I use for all my CAD programming, CAD's computer-aided design, for people that don't know, it's a software called SolidWorks. It's an aerospace and a nautical CAD program. It's very popular, and you might even know what it is. But truth is that it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was created by the Dassault company, Dassault, or just we call it Dassault. I think it's Dassault Systems. They make jets. They broke off that company, and now SolidWorks, which is its own thing, right? So anyway, that's what I use, and it's fantastic because I can take my furniture that I have here, I can draw it all up, I can explode it, I can put it back together, I can create drawings, and the fun thing about it is that whenever you make a change to the model, right, if I want to grow a part, shrink a part, remove a part, whatever it might be, it automatically updates all the drawings, which is really freaking nice when you have to give your work to somebody else. So it's very cool to be able to make all those changes, and then it just auto-generates the drawing and you're done. So it saves you a lot of time. You don't have to think about, well, what did I change in the model? Like now I got to go into the drawing and make those changes, and And so anyway, so I use that for everything, and it's been fantastic. I used CATIA there for a little while because I used a lot of CATIA in aerospace, but I can't afford it. It's just too damn expensive, and it's kind of overkill for what I do in the furniture space. So a lot of people like to use Google SketchUp. AutoCAD was even real popular, but I don't know that anyone's using AutoCAD for what I do here anymore. So that's what I'm using. And as far as you also said the CNC. So the great thing about SolidWorks, and I'm sure it's true for other CAD programs as well, is that you're able to send those files over to a CNC programmer. So if you're wanting to get in the furniture space and you can create a drawing, right? So say I got this credenza behind me, right? And I want to send over, like, say I just want to get the doors made, like whatever. There's the doors are four different parts. Right, all those dimensions, all the information there, the thickness, the width, the all that stuff is all in that model. Okay, I can then put it to what's called a DXF file. That DXF file is then sent over to the person that's the operator of the CNC, right? And then they can generate G-code, and they can generate a profile for how to run that part, right? Where you're talking about, where the bits go, the speeds, how far they're going down, how many operational passes to run, what speed. They put in all that information, and then it just gets cut out, right? It takes a while to get that cut profile set up, but once it's set up, it's good forever. Right, and it'll do the same thing every single time. That's what makes a CNC so awesome, is that you don't have to think about it. You just order the part or pull up the part operation, and you're done. It's very simple. So that's what I use. I hope that answers your question. We got Croatia Wizard here. I want to make rockets and go to space. Yeah, man, me too. I mean, who doesn't want to go to frickin' space? That's another thing that people like talk shit on that old Elon Musk, and I even heard people talking crap on that Jeff Bezos and his Blue Origin thing. It's like, if these guys want to make missiles and not missiles, rockets, they want to fly into space, like, let them. It's about freaking time. Like, if I was a taxpayer, I'd be fucking pissed right now that NASA has already done something with the kind of money those guys spent. I would be really mad. And this is that incrementalism thing that I was telling you guys. If there's no competition, right, you don't know what's possible, because the competition isn't allowed to grow, right? It's not allowed to even catch up to the people that are already in the market, because you have other factors that are basically keeping everybody at top, factors that are keeping the people at the top on the top. So this is something that I think Elon Musk has really helped all of us to see. And you don't have to like Elon Musk. I get it. Some people don't really like that guy, and they don't like Tesla anymore. And then truth is that guy did all the things that everybody kind of wanted. They don't like him now. I can't wrap my heads around that. So all right, ting ting. No, we talked to you. Okay, we got Soul Reaper in here. Only 4 people watching. Yeah, that's okay. By the time I get done watching by the time the stream is over, it'll give you all your metrics. And most of my streams, I get like, maybe 30 to 50 people watching. You might get like 300 or 400 people to come in, but they don't stay for very long. It's only certain kinds of people that want to watch this content. And honestly, that's what you want. You don't want a bunch of people in your stream that are just, shit talking and shit posting and not contributing to the conversation. You're going to get those people in there, but the goal is to obviously not have those people in there because they're not constructive. You want people that want to watch for an extended period of time, and the way that usually works is you'll get, 100 people come in, but 100 people, when they come in, their watch time is only 10 seconds, right? Which leads to no watch time. So you got to have good information. You got to, be kind of entertaining. You got to have, information that people want to hear about, So that's kind of the goal. It's not really about how many people are watching. There's a lot more to it than that. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. All right, let the silence haunt you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, get back. Ting Ting, name a car for edit. Yeah, I don't know what even that means. Ting Tung. Okay, Solar, you should probably get off and go be a father. Yeah, no, I probably should. That's a whole other discussion. That's one of the things about being a workaholic. We're tough on kids. Okay, you should probably. Yeah, okay. Sorry, you're Salina girl. All right, when Elon went to Tim Cook to speak about App Store upon buying X, Elon told Tim about being in charge of the sky. Yeah, that's being in charge. I'm assuming you're talking about Starlink, maybe. I don't know much about that, but the truth is that that's another example of what I'm talking about. We've had, first we had the baby bells, the AT&T, the Southwestern Bell, and I forget all of them. There was a bunch of them. All those got broken up, right? And they became their own companies. Now we got like Verizon, T-Mobile, and I forget. You still got AT&T. They're still a company, but you have less mobile companies now, less companies that are doing the telephone thing, the internet thing. You've got Comcast. On the internet side, you've got, what do we got here? We got Spectrum. Anyway, there's not very many of these people. Well, the truth is that all these people are using landlines, right? So they're running their lines from a pole to another pole to another pole. There's a lot of that going on. Some of them are running cable underneath the ground. Some are running it underneath the ocean. Again, a guy like Elon comes in, he's like, why don't we just go up into space? None of these people with all their money ever thought to go up into space. Now, I find it really hard to believe that a company like Verizon couldn't figure out how to get their satellites into space, because they already have them, right? They got tons of satellites. They just never thought about making a mesh around the world. Like a company like Garmin, like I like running watches, mine's a Sunto, but Garmin has satellites. I mean, big navigation GPS companies. There's tons of them. Raytheon. Like none of these people ever thought like, hey, we should probably make a mesh around the earth, and then people can get the internet from the globe, and you don't need any more transmission lines. Like every time a hurricane comes through or a tornado comes through or a wildfire comes through, we have to go rebuild the whole fucking infrastructure. It's a non-issue. So again, Elon comes in and does this thing and really changes the way a lot of these incremental industries are working. So it goes back to what I was saying. I believe that a lot of these corporations are going to leave America, right? Because the truth is that if people are allowed to start their own businesses and not be hindered by all the regulations and the BS that it takes to start a company, like people are going to do all kinds of crazy things. They're going to come up with new ideas, new products, new services, and a lot of these legacy companies are going to be in trouble. Like they're not going to be able to keep up with the amount of innovation that will be in this country, And that's another thing. Like I think that we've kind of beaten people down a little bit about what's possible. Like so many people have lost hope that they can start their own business, or that they can, make a product or make a service or have a really good job that they love. Like they just don't know how good it can be, and that's too bad. I feel very bad for people. All right, just name a car, your favorite car. Nissan Skyline. Oh, we're talking about cars. Oh man, okay. All right, so Ting Tung, I'll come back to you in a second. Solana Girls, yeah, okay. I hope I kind of commented on what you're saying there, Solana Girl. I'm not sure if I did. So you can go and teaching your kids something instead of trying to get attention on the internet. Yeah, no, that's and again, Soul Reaper, if you've been here at any amount of time, I talk about this all the time. That's one of the reasons that we need more people being able to start their own companies, right? So the truth is that kids are labor, right? And we've made it out to be like kids are accessories now, and that's why we send them all to school and we don't make them work for anything anymore, okay? Whereas when you own a small business, the first thing your kids do is go to work for you, right? And that's how it's supposed to be. This idea that kids are just supposed to go have it better than you did, like those days are over right now. Truth is, kids need to come to work for their parents. They need to bust their asses and be taught how to work, what work is really like. And they need to take those businesses over so they don't have to be screwed when they get older in life, right? Waiting for, some 401k that you hope's not going to crash. Some company doesn't bankrupt itself, chasing cheap labor and cheap products and screw all of its employees by outsourcing all their work, right? You hear about it all the time. People in their 40s and 50s, they can't get hired anymore because their liabilities because of health insurance. You don't want that. If more people had their businesses, had their own companies, and had their kids working in their businesses, you wouldn't have you would have as much of a problem as we have today. I think, and again, I could be way off, dude. But I think your point is great, man. You're right. Kids should be learning all this stuff, and if you have kids, you should be teaching these people. And I'll tell you something, Soul Reapers, since you're here. My kids want nothing to do with my business. All they want to do is this. All they want to do is be content creators and YouTube personalities and celebrities, right? And how did that start? That they didn't get that from me, right? Like I work 60 hours a week. I work when I'm at home. I work when I'm at work. My life is literally my business. My kids are my employees basically at this point. My kids want nothing to do with this hard work, and that's fine. Like they're gonna grow up in an era where it's gonna be really hard, I think. And I feel really bad for that. And I hope they change their minds. I hope that they want to take this business over and learn how to sell, learn how to convince somebody to give you their money for your product, right? Which means you have to deliver a good product. You have to have a good brand. You have to have a good story. There's a lot of things you need to do in order to sell somebody, to convince them to buy your stuff. And, truth is that most people don't want to do any of that. They just want to be famous. They just want to make money. And it's too bad, So it is what it is. I hope that answers your question, dude. Okay, just name a car. So I love cars. Cars are my favorite thing. Cars are my motivation for a lot of things. I've had a lot of cool cars, and And I've told the story many times. Like I had a Lotus Evora. That's been the latest car that I've had, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's supercharged little sports car, a lot of fun to drive. But I had sales really slow last year, and it was either I sold my car and took the like 30 grand and used it to make payroll, right? So my guys have work and I have to get rid of him, or I could have started laying people off, you know. And this is one of the things that I always talk about. Like, that's the difference between a small business owner and a CEO. You know, a CEO has credit and has other things they can do. They can let go of people. It's not a big deal. You know, it's not going to affect them. In fact, their stock price will probably go up when they let go of everyone because it keeps their profits high by reducing their costs, right? So I can't do that, and I wouldn't do that. Like, we're just not wired that way. I'm not wired that way, you know. So I got rid of that, and my next one's going to be my next car will be probably an Audi R8. Like, I look at those all the time, and I think that's what I want. You know, I want the V8 with the gated 6-speed, or I'm considering the V10. They'll probably have that R-tronic transmission, which is the same transmission that's in the Lamborghini Gallardo. You know, so that's what I want. You know, and it'd probably take me another year or two to get there, but it'll happen. You know, with the way the economy's going and the way the price of cars is going, I mean, R8s ought to be like 50 grand and below here very shortly, I would imagine. So that's where I'm at. All right, Nissan Skyline. Yeah, Skyline's beautiful, man. I love Nissans. Nissan, man, what a tough company. Like, those guys I think they're like practically bankrupt. And they made that GTR. That thing is so beautiful. Okay, IBF. All right, you're back, IBF. Great. I'm late. How are we talking about woodworking? Yes, we're talking about woodworking, but we're talking a little bit more about what are large corporations going to do when the cost of outsourcing gets really expensive. You know, meaning in order to, you know, the 100 people that make your product right now in, you know, we'll just use China because that's a popular example. The 100 people that make that product over there, that the cost of that product doubles, right? Instead of being whatever, $50 to bring it in, now it's going to be $150, you know, or $200. Like, our corporation's going to pay that tariff, right, and then bring that product into America? Or are they going to say, you know what, we might not want to sell in America anymore. America might be too expensive. Are these corporations going to stay here? You know, and I'm convinced that they're not. You know, so I don't think that these people have any allegiance to America, and it didn't used to be that way. You know, it did not used to be that way. And the minute they could digitalize everything and then they could send it all to another country, they didn't need American labor anymore, right? Which, again, it was great for us for a long time because we could buy $5 t-shirts, you know, but the truth is that now nobody makes t-shirts. And when you say, well, hey, you know, maybe we should make that anymore, everyone always says, we can't make that. We don't make that anymore. Yeah, I've heard many people say, we don't have the looms anymore. We don't even know how to make looms anymore. It's like, you got Elon Musk catching rockets here, you know, and we can't figure out how to make a t-shirt or make a loom to, you know, to shuttle fabric back and forth. Like, I find that really hard to believe, but that's where we're at. And the truth is the reason that they don't want that kind of work anymore, because if you bring that work back to America, it means that all the people getting paid, you know, thinking, all the managers, all the people that are in design and marketing and HR, like, those people are fucked. Because there won't be any money for that kind of stuff. Like, you'll need more people producing stuff here in America, and that's what they don't want. Nobody wants to work with these anymore, and that's okay. I'm not saying you have to, and I just don't think that these people are going to stick around. I think they would trade their cheap labor for their being an American-based company. I think that's the way it's going to go. And maybe they would go over to Europe. You know, a lot of people like to go to Europe because they think that there's something better going on there. You know, and I mean, I don't know. Like, I could be way off. I just thought this would be a good topic to discuss, kind of get people going a little bit. And it, you know, it's beer 30. So what else are we gonna do? All right, a few more comments. Okay, so yes, I told you guys my cars. I like cars. I'm a big fan of cars. All right, yes, an IBF. Yeah, we are talking about woodworking, but we're talking more about large corporations today. So let's see. Slina Girl says, my dad had a cabinet shop. I spent after school and summer sanding, edging, drafting, sweeping. Yeah, and that's how it starts. And this is one of the things that really bothers me as a small business owner. Like, there's a couple things that really bother me, right? So what we've done is we've said that if you do what Salina Girl just said here, right? You go there and you sand, you edge band, you draft, and you sweep, right? Those are called losers, right? And that's what we did. We said you need to go to college, right? Because if you do those things, you're some kind of you're going to be poor is what it's going to boil down to. Your life is going to be hard. And a lot of people did that, and it was great up until they started giving out millions of degrees a year, right? Which we all know what happens when you do that. The value of that degree goes to nothing. And that's exactly what happened, right? It'd be just like if furniture making, right? If everyone, we had 1 million new furniture makers every year, what would happen to the price of furniture? It would drop like a stone, and the people getting paid, the wages would drop like a stone, and that's what's happening, So all these people getting degrees, it's not worth anything anymore. And there are some people that are super good at what they do, and they'll make tons of money, and it's well worth it for them. But for most people, it's not, And it really bothers me that that's what we've done, But we're getting ready to change that. But what's getting ready to happen, and I've been talking about this for like 6 months now, is those colleges that were giving you the degree in gender studies and in psychology and in drafting, whatever, architectural, whatever. They're getting ready to have a degree in welding, and they're going to have a degree in general labor, and they're going to have a degree in framing and carpentry and woodworking. And these people are going to try their damnedest to transition over to being the people that train people how to work, right? And the other thing that gets me is these people that say apprentice, like, oh, we need to create trade jobs and get people to do apprenticeships. It's like, no, motherfucker, it's called work. Apprenticeship is for union people, and that's a whole separate discussion. Unions are fine, but it's called work. You get out of high school and you go to work for somebody. And that's how we used to do it. But for some reason, colleges convinced everyone that a person that goes to college is a tier above normal people. And for a while it was, but we've gotten away from that. It's not what it used to be, And now when it comes to work, the idea of just getting out of high school and going to work for Eric over here at the Resplendent Crow, like, oh, you can't do that. Like, why would you want to go work for him? Like, his business is terrible. He's only got 7 employees. He makes furniture. Who would want to do that? There's a lot of people that would want to do that, but they're being brainwashed. And we got to fix that. And it's if the government says, you can't outsource all these jobs like welding, like furniture making, like whatever, making T-shirts, whatever it might be. I mean, it could be anything. Like, you can't do that. That means these companies are going to have to hire people in America, and they are terrified of that, right? And this is why I think they will leave America. They'll still sell stuff here, but they're not going to pay the wages. Like, they're not going to do it. It won't happen. That's where I'm at. So, but yeah, I'm glad, Sonic Girl, you pointed that out, because it's a good way to make money. It's a good way to learn a very important skill, and it's always been good to me. It's always been good to me. I've never been poor. I've never been destitute. I've always made decent money. I've always owned a home, and I got no complaints. So. Okay, we got, let's see, we got Cart Shart in here, Tim Tung, and name a car for a, yeah, I know, I didn't know what the hell that person was talking about either, Cart, but I think they just wanted you to name a car, so, okay, Cart Shart, Europe, no, it's Canada, your mom going to college, so I don't know, Cart Shart, who you're talking to exactly, Europe, no, it's Canada, I don't know why, Cart Shart, tell us where you're at, Europe and Canada are very different, very different places. So, and what else we got? Okay, we got people hitting everyone, again, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. Let's see, I'm at 42 minutes. I got another probably 5 minutes, and then I got to go. I got a call with a client in Florida, and my wife's messaging me, so I probably need to see what the hell she wants. It's like everybody will leave me alone on my phone right until I start doing these streams. It's inevitable. It's how it always works. So, okay, back to what we were talking about. So I wrote down a bunch of things. I need to go through these things real quick, and then I'm probably going to end my stream after I go through the comments and converse with everyone. And yeah, who's ever hitting all the buttons, man, I appreciate it. It's really important. Okay. I wrote down managers don't have to live where they work. Okay, so this is the thing that has changed in America. When white-collar people don't have to go to the places where the work is done because they have to go do the work or they have to actually supervise the work, they don't have a what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry guys, I'm drawing a blank here. They don't have the same sense of patriotism to the place where their business resides, right? You could have a company like Apple who has Apple stores here and has, that big, beautiful campus in Cupertino, but none of their factories are here. They're all overseas, right? So a lot of those people don't necessarily have to even be here. There's no reason for them to be here, right? Other than to enjoy how great America is for them. Meanwhile, the people that would work for Apple, it's not so good for them anymore, right? And there's this humongous disconnect going on right now with this class of people. And this is what I keep telling you guys. The chasm is growing between the haves and the have-nots. And the truth is that if you make something with your hands, you are getting more and more to be the have-nots, whereas the people that manage all those people and create designs and do, you know, important work are continuing to get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, right? And you notice the people that do the work don't get the stock, whereas the people that do the thinking get access to the cheap stock, right? So it's a bad deal, guys. Like, it's a real bad deal. So these managers, we have to kind of work on this idea that you just need to think, you're going to get super rich, and the people that do the work, like, F those people. It's their problem. We're going to send all this work overseas. Okay, next comment coming in. Have you ever or known someone who got evicted for not wanting to work labor job? Have you ever known or someone who got evicted for not wanting to work a labor job? So evicted, I guess you would mean maybe fired. Because I mean, evicted, we generally associate with like your home, right? You get kicked out of your home or something like that. Have I ever known someone who got evicted for not wanting to work a labor job? That is a good question. I've known lots of people who, okay, hold on, like stop paying rent. No, I know a lot of people who have not been able to pay rent. I know a lot of people, especially men, who once they have to go through a divorce or they go through an issue with kids, they're much more likely to be destitute. And what ends up happening to them is they have issues like the problems stack up, right? You know, you miss one rent payment, you know, you miss a car payment, you can't put a full tank of gas in your car, you know, you're not getting the high quality foods anymore. Those things start to stack up, and eventually they start coming into work pissed off. They start coming into work with a bad attitude. They didn't sleep well, and then before you know it, they're not getting raises, they're getting written up at work, and eventually they get fired, right? Or they get laid off. The minute things slow down, the company just lets them go, you know? And this is what I have seen for a very long time. And this has happened in good times and in bad times. Like, it's not just good times, right? But the truth is, it's usually people that are working in the lower tier jobs, which are generally when you're working with your hands, right? Because these are the people I've been around the most. So I've seen it throughout my entire life, and it's a major problem. And it's only gotten worse, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, what do you do? I mean, it's life, you know. But as far as like literally stop paying rent, like that, I don't freaking know if they stop paying rent. I've just seen the complications and problems, and I've heard about it because, you know, we're all friends of the shop. Excuse me. But yeah, it ends up that the problems stack up, right? And then they become more of a pain in the ass. They're not as friendly to be around. People don't want to be around them, and these problems get worse and worse and worse, and eventually they lose their job, you know, which you can only then infer that they're probably going to not be able to pay rent. You know, maybe they have to move home, maybe they become homeless, you know, or unhoused, as the educated people say. So yeah, I don't know, guys. That's a tough one, but I've seen it. I mean, dozens of times, to be quite honest with you. Okay, so I go back here. My dad's operation started with his uncle in 1948, cabinet interior construction, but still exists as mainly indoor-outdoor sign and cabinet co. and on its 5th generation. See, that's what we need. That's amazing. I'm so glad that like literally like warms my heart. That's what I want for my company, and that's what I want. I know several people that do what I do, and they all kind of want the same thing. Like, we want our kids to take over what it is that we do, or I would love to have like an employee buy this business and take it over and do something with it, you know, when we're done doing it. And that's in my mind, that's as good as it gets, you know. And I don't know if it'll happen, but yeah, when something can last 5 generations, that's incredible, and it's good. You know, I'm glad to hear that. I got a guy who used to deliver lumber to me. He owned a construction company. He had 50 employees, and he retired and gave the business to his son. And every couple of weeks when he'd come deliver hardwood, he'd tell me about how his son's running the business and how he's always having to answer questions, and he's, you know, talking to his son about how to do all this stuff. And he was delivering hardwood to me, and I'm thinking, like, what are you doing delivering hardwood? You know, and he's like, hey, man, my son's running that business. I try and leave it up to him. If he has questions for me, I'll ask him. But, man, you know, I need something to do, you know. So he was delivering hardwood for this company, St. Charles Hardwoods. And he'd come in and he'd just look at my furniture, and he's like, man, that's the coolest thing, man. I was building decks, and we were building these big buildings and mezzanines and blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, it was really cool, you know. So Sliding Girl, it's a fantastic story. And, I really appreciate being here. And yeah, we need more stories like that. And again, if we can get more work back here, more people starting businesses, less people, you know, buying the cheap thing because it's cheap, you know, which you can't shit on anyone for doing that. But the truth is that if you have so many cheap options, it's much harder to buy something that's made in America. And the truth is that most people aren't really that committed to buying American. They just want to, whatever they believe a fairly priced product to be, and even names I don't think mean as much as they used to, which is a completely, actually I'm gonna do a video on that. We're gonna do a video on branding and having a good quality name. All right, cart chart, what about drinking on the job? What's wrong with drinking on the job? You know, it used to be before, you know, maybe, I don't know, the 80s, like it was pretty normal to have a beer. My stepdad used to tell me they used to take guns to school. You know, it's like a lot of things that we used to do, you can't do anymore because, again, OSHA, insurance, I mean, God, I mean, just what the most people can't, lack of responsibility. People can't handle it. They have no self-control. America lacks impulse control, which is why everybody's broke. You know, you can't say no, right? And there's no accountability anymore. You know, we're unwilling to say, no, you effed up. You can't have any more. No more. You're done. You're cut off, right? Because then you're unfair. You're not being treated equally. You know, oh, that person's black or that person's, you know, brown. You know, there's always some reason other than like, no, you lack self-control. You lack discipline. You know, we can't do any of this anymore. So yeah, I mean, drinking on the job is, you want to have a beer at the end of the day. I personally got no problems with it, you know, and most job sites don't either. You know, and this is one of those great things about having your own company. You can kind of make your own rules, you know, and that's, again, nobody wants you to know that that's okay, but man, it absolutely is okay. And I'll be the first one to say, you want to have a beer at the end of the day? Go for it. I got no problems with it. It's not going to bother me one bit. You know, now, do I want you drinking in the morning, in the middle of the day? Absolutely not. You know, but you're cleaning up, you want a beer? Like, great, go for it. You know, it's a little perk of working for a smaller business, right? You don't have HR breathing down your throat. You actually get to, and I got to take this call and I got to get off here, guys. So go through a couple quick comments, then I'm gonna go. Okay, we're talking about drinking on the job. Let's see. Nice meeting you. See you. But yep, exactly. Sure. What about OSHA? Yeah, OSHA. Yeah, I don't want to even talk about OSHA. OSHA's gone. OSHA's not going to last this administration, and I'm wholly on board with it. So okay. But anyway, Car Chart, I appreciate all your interactions, and I appreciate everyone hanging out and hitting the like button and adding the comments and all that kind of stuff. I really do appreciate it, and it's been a good day. It's been a good Monday, busy day, but we'll do this again tomorrow, probably 4 o'clock. We'll do a little more talking about big corporations and tariffs and woodworking and all that fun stuff. So everyone have a great day.